Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a moment that might just redefine how we understand modern media. You know that moment when Donald Trump reportedly walked out of an NBC Meet the Press interview over election claims? Well, it wasn't just an awkward breakdown in a conversation. It was actually this incredibly rare behind-the-scenes glimpse into the invisible machinery of modern political communication. We are going to break down the whole shebang, the strategies, the psychology, and the completely changing rules of the game. Okay, let's dive into this. Look, in conventional political culture, walking out of an interview was almost universally viewed as a massive sign of weakness. Historically, it made it look like the politician just couldn't handle the tough questions, and the journalist basically walked away the victor. So why on earth is it now considered by so many to be a winning strategy? Well, it's because our media environment has entirely transformed. Today, attention is literally currency. A nuanced 30-minute policy discussion? That might get a few nods, but a viral 10-second clip of a dramatic confrontation? That spreads like wildfire. It easily defeats a lengthy policy debate, dominating social media, cable news, and group chats for days on end.
Layer 1. The collision of frames.
To really grasp what happened here, we've got to look at frames. This clash over election claims wasn't just a simple miscommunication. Actually, scratch that. It was a total collision of competing realities. So, what exactly is a frame? Think of it like a structure that determines which facts matter, which ones you can completely ignore, and what story those facts are actually supposed to tell. This is absolutely crucial to understand, because political arguments rarely start with raw facts. They start with these frames. And once a frame is locked in, audiences will often reach their final conclusions before a single piece of actual evidence is even put on the table. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. The exact same verbal exchange looks completely different depending on which of these worldviews you accept. On one side, we have NBC's frame, accountability. For journalists, asking tough questions about controversial issues isn't bias. It's a legitimate exercise in challenging assertions and demanding evidence, right? But on the other side, we have Trump's frame, persecution. In his worldview, major media institutions are active political participants, so repeated questioning isn't seen as journalism at all. It's evidence of institutional hostility. One worldview sees accountability, the other sees persecution. It's fascinating.
Layer 2. The hidden incentives.
Whenever political actors appear to be locked in a conflict like this, we have to peel back the onion and look at the strategic game being played behind the scenes. Pause for a second and really ask yourself, what are the hidden incentives driving this conflict? Because I promise you, neither side walks into an interview just to have a friendly chat. Both the journalist and the politician have strategic objectives that extend way, way beyond the immediate conversation happening in that room. What's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly both sides are playing their hands. Let's look at the underlying objectives here. For NBC, the network wants compelling content, public relevance, and to demonstrate journalistic credibility. And honestly, a tense interview delivers all three of those beautifully. Now consider Trump. He wants to maintain his base support, control the narrative, and reinforce his long-standing claims of an unfair media. A dramatic walkout? Well, that delivers on all of his goals too. Once you view it through this lens, the confrontation isn't surprising at all. Both sides are behaving in ways that perfectly align with their own interests, basically performing their roles for their respective audiences.
Layer 3. The narrative advantage.
This specific incident highlights a massive, broader transformation happening right now across democratic societies. We're moving away from an era where influence depended on policy details and firmly into an era where politics operates almost entirely through narratives. And why do narratives win out? Well, they simplify complexity. They give us clear heroes and clear villains. They cleanly explain causes and consequences. But above all, they deliver deep emotional meaning. You know, human brains naturally understand and remember a compelling story so much better than we remember, say, spreadsheets or technical election procedures. We are essentially hardwired for stories, and modern political narratives exploit that wiring perfectly. Whether you agree with the politics behind them or not, slogans like "Build the Wall" or "Make America Great Again" are undeniably effective. They just work. Why? Because these remarkably concise slogans succeed by compressing complicated, multi-layered political arguments into simple, emotionally resonant language. In a battle for a voter's extremely limited attention span, a punchy, emotional appeal is going to defeat paragraphs of dense policy pretty much every single time. This dynamic creates a wildly predictable sequence of events. Step 1. Media organizations cover a polarizing politician because, let's face it, tension guarantees high engagement. Step 2.
The politician uses that immense coverage to gain massive visibility and influence. Step 3. The confrontation turns into a mutually beneficial, entirely expected cycle. This is journalism's ultimate catch-22 today. Think about it. If they avoid the controversy, they look like they're failing to hold power accountable. But if they aggressively pursue it, they're accused of bias while simultaneously handing the politician the exact spotlight they crave. Neither side can really afford to step off the dance floor.
Layer 4. The psychology of audiences. Let's move to and see how this builds, because this is the ultimate twist of this entire explainer. The real secret here is that the audience watching this theatrical performance isn't sitting back calmly evaluating facts. No, they are actively defending their social identity. Consider how a single event just splits completely in two. On the one hand, the critic watches the walkout and thinks, well, Trump was evasive, he couldn't answer the questions. But on the other hand, the supporter watches the exact same interview and concludes the media behaved completely unfairly and he successfully stood up to them. The shared piece of evidence is evaluated entirely according to whether it supports the viewer's political group. Political affiliation isn't just a policy preference anymore, guys. It functions as a core part of our social identity. So the crucial point is this. Evidence is shared, but interpretation is not. This psychological quirk helps explain why highly dramatic political events rarely produce the massive shifts in public opinion that pundits always seem to predict. The interview acts as a mechanism for reinforcement rather than persuasion. People begin with their conclusions, and then they just bend any new evidence to fit exactly what they already believed.
Beyond the walkout.
When the dust settles and the specific details of a disagreement inevitably fade away, what actually survives in the long term? The truth is, political memory is highly visual. People remember moments, not arguments. Years from now, I guarantee you, no one is going to remember the detailed exchange over election procedures that led to this walkout. The enduring image will simply be the clash and the departure itself. For some, that image symbolizes fierce resistance. For others, avoidance. And for many, it's just the ultimate symbol of the chaotic state of modern politics itself. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative question to ponder. In an age where attention is currency and narratives are used as weapons, does the actual argument even matter anymore? If influence today depends not on the strength of your facts, but on controlling the story surrounding those facts, we've got to recognize the deeply theatrical nature of the battle for public perception. It's a battle where the image is the story and the performance is the politics. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the frames around you, and I'll see you next time.